Buff Nation, what's going on? Hope you guys are having a wonderful week. I'm back again on the road. Apologies for the different setup, but here's the exciting news. We got a crystal ball for four-star receiver Quanell, Farrakhan Jr., four-star wide receiver that visited alongside Julian Lewis a couple weekends ago, and it's looking like I'm as bold to say I think we're going to get a clean sweep with that official visit that happened. And I'm wanting to go through, highlight some different points that a few of the accounts that I follow on Twitter have pointed out, always keeping me up to date. First off, Bravo Charlie College Football had this nice little excerpt that he posted where Quanell was talking about playing alongside Julian Lewis. He said, "I would love to play for a quarterback like Julian Lewis. He's a dog." I got to talk to him quite a bit. Lewis, that is, on our official visit. Enjoyed his visit just how I did, so I feel time will tell. Lewis would play a major factor in Farrakhan Jr.'s commitment battle if Colorado were to land the quarterback's pledge. Definitely, Farrakhan said, no doubt, of course. And as we have seen, I will scroll down a little bit. That crystal ball is happening from Steve Wilfong. So we can see here, Ralphie Run Recruiting having this on here, coming from On 3 against Steve Wiltfong at a 60% confident, which is pretty standard from what I've seen of a lot of the crystal balls. So the fact that we're already getting information that he's going to commit to the Buffs, I think definitely bodes well for Julian Lewis coming alongside and joining the rest of the visits that we had just a couple weeks ago in being 2025 Buffs. At least that's my hope, and that's how I'm reading this. Again, he's announcing his commitment here in about 10 days or so, depending on when you're watching this, July 13th, so it's coming around soon. We might see him commit, and then maybe we see Evan Haynes commit around the same time, the other wide receiver that visited. I believe he's 6'3", from Tennessee, offhand. Got to remember. But if we can get both of them, then the only person that would not have committed yet out of, I think, the 8 official visits we had a couple weekends ago would be Julian Lewis. I think this bodes really, really well. So let's go ahead and run some of the highlight tape. I think you guys will find some of this pretty interesting. I've played before some of his junior tape, but I thought, I'll go ahead and play some of his sophomore tape as well, if you haven't seen him. So, yeah, again, a guy that is a big-time burner, is going to be able to make a lot of plays downfield and in the short game as well. I think that he's just somebody that you'd want to get the ball to as quickly and as much as possible, and allow him to get that yards after catch, get the yak. Plays, if I remember correctly, all 3 phases of the game. Plays a little bit as well. And as you can see, big time factor on special teams. This fits the profile, again, of the skill guys that we go after. For the most part, they're not just one type of player, one that just plays on offense and doesn't have a role on special teams or defense. Usually, a lot of the guys that we bring in here at skill positions, they're making an impact at minimum on offense and special teams, and in some of the elite cases, and defense as well. That Travis Hunter, Coach Prime type of mold, which I absolutely love. So I believe he was at another high school for his freshman year, but transferred out to, I'm trying to remember if it's the Woodlands out in Houston, Texas. We can go ahead and look at his profile here in a minute. But I love his ability to return. Doesn't quite move like Antonio Brown, but his versatile skill set, his ability to get deep rather easily, make an impact on special teams, he kind of reminds me a little bit of Antonio Brown. And like I said, plays a little bit of defense. We saw that last play, that pass breakup, and look, again, just really clean route running. I don't even feel like the DB had a chance to turn his hips before he was gone. So you love to see that. And let's take a look at this return here. Nice. Already fielding at the 32-yard line, making a play, taking it to the house. Just a big-time playmaker. So you can imagine if we are to get his commitment, the wide receiver room is going to be scary. And we really are building a very, very strong pipeline of not only defensive backs, wide receivers, offensive line. Imagine that. Imagine me saying that 2 years ago. Absolutely. I love it. And while I don't think it's at the level of maybe where Alabama's been in years past or where Ohio State is kind of at right now with Brian Hartline coaching that room, it's definitely getting towards that, I think, as long as commitments like this uh, end up happening and we get more and more of them. Now, if you guys haven't listened to Philip Dukes' interview with DNVR, I'm going to link that as well because you guys need to check that out. And he said some really interesting things where today he said that if Julian Lewis is going to commit, he's like, you're going to see like the floodgates open in terms of other commitments happening with Colorado. And then you could see Colorado really focus in on another 5-star, start honing in on another 5-star for the fall portion of the recruiting season. And that's pretty interesting. We've really just focused on one 5-star at a time. We've wanted to make those 5-star players feel very, very special. And I think that goes to show like why we've been able to surprise people, or Coach Prime has, rather, even going back to his times at Jackson State with Travis Hunter, is that he really does give you that family type atmosphere. And Julian Lewis spoke to this earlier in an interview as well, just saying how the family atmosphere has been something that's been a little bit surprising and unique, and definitely something going in the favor of Colorado. And that's why I definitely feel like when you factor in that type of atmosphere, when you factor in the path to playing time, as well as the compensation, the NIL opportunities, they're all going to be there. It's really hard for me to see why he wouldn't choose Colorado over USC, a place where he's going to have to sit, a place where I think Lincoln Riley's character has been called into question a little bit, his ability to lead. Of course, there's hit pieces on Coach Prime, but I don't really see it as I see him as a good leader. I don't see him as somebody that fails to get guys to rally around him and all of that. And I definitely see him more trustworthy, Coach Prime is, than somebody like Hugh Freeze over at Auburn. So I think, again, a lot of the factors are lining up to where I think this can make sense. And I'm thrilled about it, guys. I'm thrilled about it. I would love to have Farrakhan Jr. here. Let me get back to it, though, because this video is about him. He would be an immense weapon to put next to Draylon Miller, Baby T.O., Omarion Miller, and Evan Haynes, if he's going to come along with. Got guys already in the pipeline, like a Jordan Onavue, somebody that we're sleeping on. But if he gets his opportunity, I think he could totally shine. And I just absolutely love this. This is something that, again, hats off to the recruiting staff, hats off to Coach Prime. They're continuing to up the level of talent. North Shore High School, not the Woodlands. North Shore High School is where he's at now in Houston, Texas, 6 feet, 170 pounds. But let me know how you guys are feeling about all this, Buff Nation, because I feel like things are just going in the right direction. And our friend Russ over at Buffs News Weekly, he pointed this out on our collaboration show we did recently, that if CU's not really feeling the reciprocation with a particular recruit, they move on rather quickly. And the fact that you've had Julian Lewis come out here, 3-4 times over the last year, I think it goes to show that there's a lot of good vibes going on. I just feel good about it, guys. So thank you for tuning in. I will be back with more content later. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. And as always, y'all, go Buffs.